Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our continuing series of Connecticut Independence Caucus candidate interviews and our second conducted for the Connecticut 5th Congressional District. We're here tonight with Bill Evans, Republican challenger for the congressional seat currently held by Chris Murphy. Bill is a native of Ansonia, Connecticut, where as a youth he attended public elementary school. He then went on to Fairfield Preparatory High School, where he graduated in 1984. Following graduation, Bill attended Bryant College in Smithfield, Rhode Island, where he majored in marketing. While at Bryant, he was involved with the Kappa Tau fraternity, where he served in several leadership positions and was elected president in his junior year. In order to help with the costs of college, Bill also worked full-time as a salesperson for a printing company. Due to an illness during his senior year, Bill did not graduate with his class and later was unable to afford to complete his education at Bryant, deciding instead to focus on his career. Bill has worked in several marketing companies, where he has eventually rose to become a partner. In 1995, he founded Phoenix Marketing, a company specializing in the sales and marketing of sports products through retail outlets and wholesale distribution. In 2004, Bill married Susan Mulcahy of Waterbury, and they currently reside in Wolcott, Connecticut. Thank you for agreeing to interview with us, Bill.
Thank you.
We're honored to speak with you this evening, and we certainly appreciate you taking the time to engage with the grassroots groups that have developed throughout Connecticut and the country in this past year. The answers to your 80 Independence Caucus vetting questions are now up on our website. And we are pleased to be holding this second 5th Congressional District interview with you this evening. We'll begin with panel introductions. And what we're doing is, because everybody here is a member of I-Caucus, but they're also members of other groups, we're asking them to state their name, the group that they come from, and their town of residence. And then what we'll do is we'll ask you for a brief statement based on your campaign principles, and we'll begin the questions, and we'll go around the panel here, and the whole thing should take about an hour. So I guess I'll lead the introductions. My name's Bill Herring. I live in lifelong resident of Terryville, Connecticut, and the group I come from is a small, determined little group called Connecticut Conservatives.
My name is Ellen Morlock. I live in Danbury. Been there 20 years. I'm a member of I-Caucus, but I'm also an assistant organizer for the Danbury 912 group. Been in existence over a year, and on, I believe it was from March 5th, March 6th, we had 3 people, and a week later we had over 100. So it started off with me, Carol, I don't know if Carol's not here, and Pam Kurtz. You might have heard of Pam Kurtz, but I'm an assistant organizer for the Danbury 912.
I'm Robin Emmons. I'm from Cheshire, Connecticut, and I learned about I-Caucus through Connecticut Patriot Alliance.
My name is Denise Casano. I live in Fairfield, Connecticut, and in addition to I-Caucus, I am part of the Danbury 912 group.
Tim Lennox, Meriden, Connecticut, not only I-Caucus, but rightprinciples.com, and the Meriden Republican Town Committee, and I'm a delegate.
Alice LeMay, live in Cheshire, Connecticut, and I'm part of the Cheshire Tea Party group. We'll be celebrating our year anniversary, and we haven't stopped demonstrating in an entire year, come rain, snow. We were like the mailmen. We were out there all the time for every Monday between 5 and 6. If you're free, come and join us.
I want to give everybody a little background about how I ended up here today. As most people, I think I sat around, uninvolved in the political system for quite a while. Growing up in Ansonia, my father was in politics my entire life. When I graduated from high school, I was asked to enter, start getting involved in politics. And if I wanted a career in politics at that point, I could have basically kept the same signs. We have the same name. I decided against it. I watched a lot of it. I really didn't have that calling to do it. So, I decided I focused on my business, focused on helping, getting involved in different areas, and probably 2008 with the bailouts, I would say, was where something it kind of switched a little bit and said, this just isn't right. As we went farther through 2008 and into 2009, you just knew something was wrong. In January of 2009, a bunch of friends and I got together, and we started talking, that we needed to do something. So in January, February of 2009, we actually created something called Our Promise to America.org. And what it was we looked at things like our contract with America in 1994 and said, that's a good idea, but you need to have a little more teeth in it. So if anybody wants to take a look, on the internet, you can take a look. It's ourpromisetoamerica.org, and it had 10 principles. And again, being naive, our thought was, it had things like term limits and people, congressmen abiding by the same laws and, all that type of stuff that, I think we all believe in. And, we thought we would mail it out to everybody running for different offices, have them sign it, put it up on a website, and we'd get going and we can create a grassroots group. Well, amazingly, and again, I don't know how many people have contacted their representatives. Nobody wanted to return the information. Nobody returned an email. Nobody returned a phone call. So that continued on into, I'd say probably the beginning of March of 2009. And after watching a lot of stuff Chris Murphy was involved in, I picked up the phone, I called State Central saying, listen, I'm interested in possibly running against Chris Murphy. I wanted to speak to Chairman Healy, and I was given somebody else up there. And the condescending tone of that call just made me know something was wrong there. I was asked, where are you now? What's your elected position? And I was, basically told, get in line, go do something else. We have somebody else in mind. So contacted my town chairman, got involved locally, and, started again, kept emailing congressmen, kept emailing people in the races. And I don't want to get into every email and every conversation that I had, but a couple of the things that I had done was in May, I think it was actually June 16th, I think, I sent an email to Rob Simmons and everybody else running against Chris Dodd when Dodd and Kennedy released their health care plan. And I said, this is ridiculous, we can't have this. Here's a way that we blow this out of the water. We asked both of them to put them and their families into the health care plan. If for some reason, at the end of the day, it ends up at 20% over what they're projecting, they resign immediately. I didn't get a call back from anybody. Emailed Chris Murphy about difference, nothing. Well, the final thing that kind of really made it look, or kind of pushed me into this was, I emailed Chris Murphy on the day of the cap and trade vote. They had the bill, they were waiting for the bill to be presented. I was watching it live, and I knew how he was going to vote because we know, his voting with Nancy Pelosi is almost 100%. So I sent a simple email down saying, just tell me, did you read the bill before you voted on it? That's all I want to know as my congressman, because that's your job. This was way before, the did you read the bills and everything else came out. This started an email exchange back and forth with his office, phone calls. They weren't going to put in writing the answer to that question. But I've got one of their staff on tape, actually, just unbelievably condescending. The emails back and forth between the office. To this day, he still never answered that email. And this is why he didn't do it. If he answered, yes, I read the bill, we know he couldn't have read the bill in time. If he answered, no, I didn't read the bill, well, then he didn't do his job, and that's worse. So what they tried to do was make phone calls and get me on the phone and try to put me aside. This went on email after email after email. Van Jones became an issue at some point about the time, Glenn Beck was talking about it. So I had said, now that you're not answering my questions, here's one more for you not to answer. What are your feelings about czars and usurping congressional authority? When I finally got an email back, I got an email the day after Van Jones stepped aside. I think he stepped aside around midnight. And the next morning I got an email, this is Chris Murphy. And yes, I didn't, I don't think Van Jones was, a good thing. I'm not for that. And there's also some other people I had questions with. Now, I'm thinking, how do you actually put that in an email? I said, okay, well, have some courage. Who are those people? And will you ask them to step aside or ask President? That was the last email communication with the campaign. So, in August of last year, my father, who was sick, passed away. At the wake, a lot of people from when I was a kid came up and had conversations, and I really started to see what his impact was on the town. He was on Board of Education. He ran for state rep. So I think that day it kind of put it in my head, you have to do this.